When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the line, coming back right side, 25. Picks up a block at the 30, to the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right, Stafford throws deep, got a man out there, Enzo, caught, touchdown, Detroit Lions, Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers, we are back in the house on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Me and Grifka back together. The draft is less than 10 days away. We're fired up about that. We got news and notes. We're going to talk about free agents. We got draft talk. I've got some outside the box questions I'm going to fire at Grifsky today. Grifka, how are you, buddy?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, man, it's another day in this crazy world where we can't leave our homes and the world is upside down, but other than that, we still have football, which I'm super fired up about. Grifka, the draft room has never looked better. I am ready to rock and roll. I've still got a few to-dos on my list, but I broke that down for the people on one of my recent shows. And yeah, you worked your way through a mock, which I was shocked about. I mean, do you want to tell the people which site you read off verbatim as you went through those 20-minute player profiles that you rambled off on a show?
What do you mean?
You know, those 10-minute soliloquies you gave about each player you drafted that I'm sure did not come directly from the brain of the old waffle maker?
No, I mean, I'll admit to you. I mean, I went and looked at the Turk, Matt Turk or whatever like that, because I don't watch a whole lot of punters, but I did see him play when they did play Michigan State. He had pretty decent leg. Plus, he has a pretty decent bloodline. You might have heard of his uncle that actually played in the NFL, but
that's probably before my day. But other than the punter, yeah. you just that's all from the Lazy Boy scouting, all that stuff you broke out for the people.
Well, actually, when I went through the draft, then afterwards, I did like you did. I randomly pulled up a few videos that like somebody said, go check this guy out. And that's what I looked at, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't spend, 10, 12 hours breaking down like every one of them, but a few of the later ones, I'm just like, the ones I hadn't seen. I was just like, yeah, okay, Lions need this position. I ended up taking him. Okay, so I went and I looked at some of his tape. So there you go.
All right.
If you want all honesty.
All right. Well, I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's really hard to break down a punter and say like, yeah, this punter looks great when like every highlight film is just a booming kick of a punter. So there you go.
Oh, Grifka, I'm impressed. You put a little work in. You did a mock draft. I mean, I think I ripped it up in shreds and threw it in the trash. But other than that, I did enjoy some of your takes and
Why would
some
you
of your
rip it up in
players.
shreds, considering most of the picks are the guys like you always talk about? So yeah, and I know you're pretty disappointed with the Cam Akers pick. He's like one of your top running backs that you would take in that spot. So yeah, okay. It makes zero sense to me. Like, oh yeah, here Griff did a draft, so it's my job just to pick it apart. Even though I I'm all over these guys' jock pretty much any time I break them down themselves. But Griff took them in a draft, so they suck. So yeah, I'm kind of amusing myself.
I wish
like, wow, man.
I wish I had some of the names in front of me, but you're right. There was a couple names I liked, and there was a couple Grifka reaches, a couple, hey, I watched him in the Big Ten, so I'll pick that guy. I mean, like I said, I'm not here to battle it out with you. I'm just giving you a hard time, which I do on the show, and letting you know
okay.
that when it comes down to really making picks.
Man. I saw that train was on the tracks when I was doing that draft. I was like, gosh, should I actually do this? Because no matter who I take, Derek will kind of pick at it, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. So,
it's gold, man. I'm sure the people loved it. Let's stop messing around, Grifka. The people love the banter, but we got news and notes to talk about. So, Snacks Harrison came out. I mean, again, yakking on Twitter, answering questions. Some of them he's F-bombing fans. Some of them he's saying he loves Detroit. Some of them he's giving credit to coaching. Other moments he's saying he hated the thought of coming to Detroit and the scheme. I mean, well, you got some general thoughts on this. I know we talk about this every week, a former Lion sort of attacking the team, yet loves the city, yet hates the scheme, yet also, wish they would have won more. I mean, I'm confused. What about you?
Yeah, these things to me I'm just kind of getting tired of them myself. If it's like, if you didn't want to be here, I got it. I guess my biggest problem with the whole thing is like, if you didn't want to be here, why'd you sign the extension? I mean, was I like, well, I'll just, get more money on him before I become all fat and lazy. I mean, like you said, he like got out of shape and, in the preseason, on purpose to like help facilitate it. So it's just like, here, I'm going to take, your extra cash you're giving me and, stop at more Golden Corrals. I mean, I don't get it. So that's like my biggest problem with the whole issue. I mean, if you didn't want to come here, I get it. I've heard that, it happens in other sports as well. Players get traded to cities, teams they don't want to go to, and they're there, as short term as possible. But I mean, this guy just turned into a lazy slug. I mean, over the off season, and then it comes out like, well, I didn't want to be there. Well, you played pretty hard when you got here, and then you were more than willing to like take more cash from them this whole time. Like when you heard that you got traded here, you wanted to leave. That makes no sense to me.
So basically, you're not quite for sure.
I'm not quite for sure. I mean, why sign the extension then? I mean, it's just like the dumbest thing in the world.
We heard you. Grifka, how would you grade Snacks Harrison's play this last year? I mean, he really wasn't that...
Yeah, he wasn't that great. It's a big fat F.
All right, well, here's my quick take on it. Like, I think there's a lot of nuance when it comes to football that we don't understand. When he started talking about, the different techniques he wanted to play, and they didn't do that, and then they did do that, and then, he came in shape, yet he sat around all camp, then he wasn't in shape, then he was hurt during the year, he made plays, but he also didn't live up to his expectations. There's a lot going on there. I mean, we don't sit in these coaches' meetings and know all the little nuances of the game, but what we do know is that he played great when he came here, whether he's happy or not. He really fell off the table. They let him go, which we may get into this later in the show, but I think letting these guys go is really going to be a benefit to the Detroit Lions. I know people think we lost talent. What I feel like we've lost are guys that weren't bought in, didn't want to work hard, wanted it their own way. And now we're just going to have more young, hungry football players that do buy into the system and are eager to win and don't know any better to some degree. And I think there's a value in that. So really, all I took from him is it's, again, a former player. He left. He's got some things he wants to say. He's opinionated. He's pretty honest, I think, about a lot of things that probably went on, behind the scenes and not. And then the only thing I sort of picked out that was positive that I caught, again, I wasn't in on all these tweets, was there was a tweet where he said, Matt Patricia's a really good coach. He's a good guy. I got nothing against him. If you give him time, he can turn this thing around and can win here. I sent a retweet out saying, hey, Snacks saying some good things about Matt Pat. I always like to see that. And actually Snacks gave that a retweet, which I thought was interesting. And also, that's really all it comes down to, is that if the guy didn't want to be here, he's gone. If he still can at least say, that he saw some good things and the coach and this and that, like, that's all I'm really going to take away from it. The rest of it to me is not only water under the bridge, but it's also, hey, we're moving forward, with what we have and who's available. And we'll see if he comes out and makes plays or if his career sort of, rides off into the sunset. But that's what I took from it.
So I get that. Why would you? Oh, he's a good coach. They're going to win here eventually. Blah blah blah. So why wouldn't you want to stay around to be part of that? It's just how you just don't want to be here, and that's just one of those things. Like, why would you even put that out there? Like, well, he's a good coach. He'll get it turned around and blah blah. I mean, that's just rhetoric right there. So some other team will sign you so you don't bash their coach.
See, I don't think so. I think you can be here and you can be, not comfortable with maybe the situation. I don't know what his family situations are and whatnot, but you can be uncomfortable under all these realms, how they play you on Sundays, the practices, the time away from your family, and still realize that when I really step away from it and people really want the truth, yeah, this guy's not a bumbling idiot. This guy's not a guy that doesn't have a clue. Like, we didn't make plays, we didn't win enough games, but the scheme, the coach, the setup, isn't the ultimate issue of why it didn't work for him long term. Like, it worked really well in that 8 games, and then after that it didn't, and we wasted a year basically. But we also parted ways. We didn't keep him around for another year or so and then hear this crap. So at least we moved on somewhat quickly. That's what I get. You can be both. You can be unhappy and still be smart about things and see really what's going on. I believe it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, maybe so, but it still seems, kind of strange to me. You sign the extension maybe just to try to finagle more money out of them, and then you get out of shape in the preseason just to facilitate a trade or a release or something like that. That's pretty dirty pool right there is what that is.
Yeah, I don't want to go on with this too much longer, but he also, there's a lot going on behind the scenes there. If they're trying to extend him, trade him, a lot of things we won't know. And what would have been the really way to finagle your way? To, even though you're hurt this season, give some great speech and rah-rah about how you're going to come back, in better shape and healthy, and you're dedicated when really you're not. And then we're paying him $11 million in 2020. So I think that, by him pushing the factor of wanting out and the Lions getting him the out, we're not stuck with another unhappy $11 million nose tackle for the future, so I can see both sides. Like you said, that, yeah, he might have finagled a little bit more dough, but ultimately the best way to finagle dough would have been to be happy and to be a good soldier and keep doing what he was told. And he wasn't willing to do that. And the Lions, were at least smart enough to acknowledge that and to say, all right, let's just all move on. And hopefully we'll all be better because of it. So, Grifka, let's keep this thing moving. We got other things to talk about. Grifka, I want your quick opinion on what the heck is the NFL going to do when we come around to July, August, September, if you had to guess right now.
I think they're really going to try to get the season up and going, practices in August. It may be kind of old school way where there's no fans allowed. I'm not talking just in Detroit. I'm talking kind of league-wide. And it might only be if they try to get the season at least started sometime in September, maybe not the weekend after Labor Day. You might only get a couple preseason games and go from there and have it start maybe the last week of September, maybe the first week of October, to try to get some semblance of a season. I know everybody proclaims it's it's a 365-day NFL, but I still don't think they want to prolong it too far into February.
Yeah, I'm a little bit with you. I'm kind of reserving the fact, unfortunately, that I think we're going to see some games possibly played with no fans. Now, are they going to have to go to some random remote area and seclude people, or could they just have players, play in the stadiums without fans in their home cities and their home practice facilities, and bring in a team, via private planes and whatnot? I think some of that could maybe be done. But yeah, I think we may miss some games. I've been really shocked that this whole thing has blown up the way it has. I don't know when the end is in sight. At first I thought, by May, June we'd be good. Now I hearing these things that's going to go through, November, December, until people are really sure into next year. I mean, that just seems crazy to me, but every day that goes by, I think it's a little bit more realistic. So, I want my football regardless, fans or no fans, but I think it's really going to be touch and go the next couple months to see how all this shakes out. Grifka, there was rumor and innuendo today that college football is actually kind of coming up with this option of, what if college football didn't play at all in the fall, but then started up after the Super Bowl, and they became the spring football that we've always somewhat craved and talked about, even though the XFL is now tanked twice. The AAF was a complete joke. And college football, the NCAA, the highest of the high when it comes to non-professional levels, played from February through their playoffs, however long that would take, and how they would set it up as a thing this year. It'd be a 2021 thing. And if the NFL went, so you'd have NFL from maybe August, September through February. Right after that, you'd pick up college ball through whenever that is done. I mean, I think that's a very interesting trial balloon. I think that it may be a safer way right now. It also may show you that, hey, maybe this is a better setup where NFL could go multiple days, on a weekend and more prime time and stuff, as well as college football could have their season all to themselves. Now, Grifka, don't spend 20 minutes talking about the sport we shall not speak of. I realize there's other sports going on at that time, NBA and others, but I thought this was an intriguing option. All around football where they're separated, I can enjoy them both on an even higher level. What do you think?
My short answer, if it was to stay permanently that way, I think it would suck. I really do. Football is fall to me. That's why those other leagues don't survive, because people want to do other things. And it doesn't matter if it's college football, pro football, even that, like you mentioned, the XFL and the AAFL. Those were at least semi-pro, pro players that were still stud players on their college teams. So the football was still going to be slightly better than college football, and people didn't watch that. So yeah, I realize it's college and people are going to still watch our alma mater and stuff like that. But I would not like that at all.
This is what always frustrates me. That's the old Grifka, like, because it's different and because it's not old school, I don't like it. Not taking into the fact that, it's just reverse. The weather would be colder in the beginning. You'd be playing games in like April, May, June, July, great weather, still football. I don't see really any negatives other than, like you said, you think people are really going to like, oh, now I can't go boating. I can't go out and do all my summer activities. Of course you can. The only difference is you're going to get to see big time college football on Saturdays, Sundays, Thursdays, however they would set it up. And you're not going to have other things in the way. You're going to be able to do all your summer activities and still have one of the top two sports in the world, because it's basically NFL, then college football, then everything after that. I mean, it's a tremendous idea. I don't even know why when I heard this, I was thinking like not only do we need to try this needs to be the new norm, I think. Like I would have to see all the other nuances about, maybe then you're not even worried about school. Like, I don't know how it would impact, I guess there would be a huge issue with scheduling of draft and all that. But, like I said, I haven't even thought all that through. I'm just thinking from a fan perspective of what I would love to watch games from basically August through the next July and then do it all over again. Oh, hell yeah. Like, that would be tremendous from a sports fan perspective. And I can still do everything else I want to do. I can still go to the park. I can still go to all my functions. I can still ride my boat. I can still go up north. And really, I don't want to do any of that crap. But I can still enjoy all this extra stuff and still enjoy football.
So you don't do any of that stuff. So you're just expecting other people to go do that. So, you can still go on your boat. So have you ever been on a boat before? I mean, people dig that out like early in the morning because you're going to be on the water all day. You're not going to be like, oh, okay, I'll wait for the Michigan game to get over at 4:30 and then go drag the boat out. I mean, no,
Ripka, I've done all this dumb crap, but like my thing is that
so you find it dumb, and it's just
it doesn't make it.
People do other things in the summertime. I mean, yeah, there's people like yourself that would rather watch football like from that time. But like I said, that's why the XFL, the AAFL, that it doesn't work. That's why it won't work, because other people are going to do other things. So there's a point where people just get tired of the sport. And it doesn't matter if it's college, semi-pro, dragged out. People want to go do other things. And that's what they want the fall and the winter for. That's what they do in the weekends. For those that don't do winter sports, ski, snowmobile, stuff like that. Because, yeah, you can still do that and still, get into, watch football. But no, people want to go do they want to go traveling, so say like, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You would love it. Yeah, you would love it. But I think you would be in the minority. Okay,
note to Grifka. I do other things than watch sports and watch football. But my issue with you is always like you act like you can't schedule your life to do all these other things that you enjoy, reading books and going on the lake and whatever the hell else you would mention, all these functions you go to, and can't use your brain and say, hey, I want to schedule my life, whether it be my weekend away from work, maybe you're in the summer, you're a teacher, you don't even have, work, you got all this free time. Anybody that has a clue can schedule all their time and still find time to watch their favorite teams, whatever that means. Maybe you watch less, maybe other people watch less. I don't care. I just know that it's not one or the other. It's not football or boating or football or up north. Last time I looked, like up north, you can watch TV. You can get friends together for all these things. Hey, my friends wouldn't want to come out in July and watch a big Michigan versus that team from down south game. Oh yeah, I bet that would be horrible rather than watching it in the middle of November there, the end of November. Like, no, it's just two different seasons and you can do both at a really high level. So anyway, I mean, you can retort if you like, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes on this. I just think I always get frustrated with you that you act like I can only do this or that. And I always say, you can do both, or you could do whatever you want if you actually don't put it in a box and say,
like I said,
I'm old school. If
I
it's
watch
not in
other
August,
sports in the summertime.
not in
I watch
August,
other
I
sports
can't
in the
do it.
summertime. It's what I do. Okay, that's what I do. So yes, I mean, if I decide between watching, a college football game in May or the sport we shall not speak of in May, I'm going to let you know. I mean, I'll watch the sport that we shall not speak of. Like I said, people get tired out.
There's no way.
For as much as like, it makes
my
sense.
God.
It's like it's just the way it is. I mean, so.
Grifka, like that's another whole podcast. But if you're watching the sport we shall not speak of in a random game in May rather than Michigan football, we got big issues, brother. That's ridiculous.
But you don't have to worry about those because you'll be out on the boat or doing whatever else you do because you won't be watching that Michigan game because you'll be doing something else.
No, Grifka, I'm not going to miss any games, and I'm still going to do whatever else I want outside of football and sports. But I'm damn sure not going to watch I'll just throw it out there. Let me get the censor out. I'm not going to watch a damn baseball game over football if they have it in May. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to pick between my football fix, and then I'm still going to do all the other stuff I want with family and friends. It's not going to be one or the other, and it's definitely not going to be a random game that doesn't matter over my team that only plays 8 to 10 football games a year on the college level.
Okay.
All right. Oh, my gosh. I didn't think that would go that way, but, man, it's ridiculous. Grifka, before we take our break.
You wanted me to agree with you on that? Yeah, that would be awesome if college football moved to the springtime because there's no other spring sports to watch either because that should be easy for schools as well. So, okay. No problem.
Oh, see what I deal with, people? I got no idea what's going on here. Grifka, let's move on to a trade thing before we take our break. I heard this recently. The Lions trade pick number 3 to the Los Angeles Chargers. Number 3 for number 6, and Desmond King, the slot corner, been a really good football player. Again, we always make a gimmick of it, but it is true. Me and Hughes have continued to do live picks the last couple of years. I took Desmond King a couple years ago. I think I got him in the 3rd or 4th round of our actual picks on the clock. He's turned out to be a Pro Bowler, a really good player, more of a slot corner, probably play that position that Justin Coleman does, but we don't really have anybody behind Justin Coleman. Is this something you'd like, moving down 3 slots, getting a player like this and still getting another good football player at 6?
Yeah, that's a good trade right there. I would be all for that. I mean, like you said, getting Desmond King. I don't know if he's good enough to move to the outside, or if they would plan on moving Justin Coleman. But I don't know why you would just take the throw-in guy would be like a backup. I'm sure he'd get playing time with as many wide receivers that touch the field, but still, I mean he's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like Desmond King kind of started out as a safety. He's played more slot corner in the NFL. I like him as a player, just as we argue a lot on the show. There's a lot more that goes into it than just he's a good player. He's on the last year of his deal. They'd have to figure out how to pay him moving forward. They obviously pay Justin Coleman a boatload of money. I mean, we're talking $10 million basically to play the slot corner. He was okay this last year, but not that
great.
I mean, I thought he was good at times, but I'd like to see better from him. But my thing is, if you could have a plan for Desmond King, you could sign him at a decent rate, and now you can roll out Trufant for a couple years, AO. You could roll out Desmond King, Coleman. To me, those guys would be, like you said, almost double slot corners. Let's say then you also get Okudah at 6, Grifka. Now we got corners for about at least the next 5 years, I'd say, where we're covered not only on the front line, but we also have some depth and what they call, I don't know if you've ever heard this word with the Lions before, versatility to actually go guard some people and do some things. So, hey, man, I'm totally, I'm the guy that says, hey, you don't have to just go from 3 to 6, 7, or 8. I'll go down anywhere. I'll go down to the Patriots for all I care to acquire more assets. But hey, you're asking me to slide down 3 spots, probably still get the guy I want. Add a player like Desmond King if we can keep him in the fold long term. Absolutely, but I think there's a few hurdles there they'd have to consider and get over as well. Grifka, we're going to take our break. When we come back, I want to talk about how free agency has impacted the draft, and I also want to go over some of our needs that still sit for the Lions as we are basically under a week from the draft and lots to still discuss and get into. So we'll do all that right after the break. Detroit Koolaid drinkers are back from the break. Let's get right into it. We got off on some tangents. We had some good spirited fun there to some degree in the beginning with the good old Grifka on the other end there. Grifka, to me, free agency really always impacts the draft. It definitely has for the Detroit Lions. I'm looking here at linebacker, safety, wideout, and offensive line. I feel like have all been impacted by guys we've kept, guys we've brought in. To me, those are positions that, even though I think we can upgrade and there's some good players in the draft at those positions, those are spots that are somewhat off the radar a bit now for me based on what the Lions have done in free agency, where I think they're building their team and who they may take in those first 4 rounds of the draft. Do you agree, or do you have some other cockamamie idea that you want to get into?
Cockamamie. I guess like the biggest thing is with what the Lions have signed at linebacker. I know you've come around to really like Isaiah Simmons. I like him as well, but that's just one thing. I think it's one guy that is just kind of off the table. I think I read something earlier this week that stated that if all things being equal, the Lions would rather take Okudah than Simmons. That wasn't from Lions 24/7. I can't remember where I read that, but it's just that's one of those things where I don't think they're worried about wide receiver until later. Maybe running back, like you said, mid-round, 3, 4, 5, something like that. But I guess my biggest disappointment is it seems like they're not even looking at Isaiah Simmons unless something happens with, if they were to stay put, and that it seems like Okudah is going to be the pick right there, which I'm not disappointed with, but I think I would rather have Simmons.
Yeah, again, one of the random times we agree. I think Simmons is a great guy that would have a great head on his shoulders, be really versatile, even if he learned, with the Tavais, the Collinses of the world, he'd probably show out to be the better football player in the near future and, long term. But I'm in with you. I feel like even if they trade down to 6, 7, 8, I don't really see them taking them. Safety, they obviously added Jerron Harmon. I feel like some of the safeties, if they fall into that early second round, aren't going to be on the Lions' radar because between T-Walk, Harris, Harmon, and they even brought in Curse, the backup. They got it from Minnesota. That's kind of a special teamer, but can add some thump as well. I mean, I don't know where you're going to play all those guys, plus the other couple guys you have that are somewhat safeties, even though they basically just run down on kicks and whatnot. You mentioned running back. To me, running back's the one that hasn't been, they haven't added anything there. I'm going to be very frustrated if we don't come out of this draft with another good piece at running back, because I'm here to tell you, Grifka, this isn't really a hot take, but we're not getting a top-of-the-line running game in 2020 or beyond with Kerryon, Bo, and Ty Johnson. I mean, I love Kerryon. I was telling Bob Quinn on the hotline to go get Bo Scarborough, and he did, but that's not NFL quality. Now, if you add another a game changer, yeah, we could go from bottom of the league to middle, maybe that upper third of the league, I think. But if you just think you're going to roll those 3 out and a couple scrubs, that ain't going to get it done. I mean, you could have went and added to the position. You still got money just burning a hole in your pocket. You haven't done a damn thing with it. So, that, and then right before we're recording, like, we hear Kenny Wiggins is coming back, Ode Abushi's coming back. I mean, we don't even know what we have in Bo Benchwell. Like, they got all these offensive linemen, Joshua Garnett, and, like, I can't figure out, how that's going to impact the draft. What do they think? They're just good there? They're just going to throw a trash can out at right and left guard and think our quarterback's going to be okay? Like, I think that's impacted as well by some of these old veteran bums where it's like, you need to go get a dominant player, and maybe they will still draft one. But I'm curious to see. Hey, Grifka, the Okuda who we mentioned was on, I think it was NFL Live, and they said, hey, everybody's penciling you in at number 3 to the Detroit Lions. What do you think about that? I think this was his response. I think number 3 with my name sounds real nice. And then break out the old crickets. Because there was nothing after that, and they were like, all right, well, I hear you, and they just moved on. It was like, didn't say one thing about the Lions, didn't say, hey, it would be a blessing to be drafted, I'd be fired up to go to any team in the NFL. Just Jeffrey Okuda would love to go at number 3 because he almost sounded like shocked that he would go that high. Like, that was surprising to me. And then Grifka, do you know his nickname is Free Hefe?
How does one get the nickname Free Hefe?
Well, that's the cool part. Like, Hefe makes sense because it's Jeff Okuda. So Hefe, anytime you call a guy that's named Jeff Hefe, it just sounds way better. But he said Hefe is his like alter ego, where on the football field he's Hefe, and when he's not, he's Jeff. And I was just like, okay, now the Free Hefe, I mean, it kind of is odd to me, but I think it's a decent nickname. I thought that would bring a smile to your face because you love crazy names and you love crazy nicknames more than stats or anything else.
Free Hefe, you gotta like that. That's a nice T-shirt that you can get made up right there.
Exactly. So, like I said, I was just surprised by his reaction. I mean, I think he's still the safest player, the most predicted player to the Lions, but for me,
strange,
I'm not.
Though his retort, man, would be that way. Like you said, how come you always hear like people like it just sounds like the talk. They're no matter what their agents like, make sure it's praise God and it's a blessing to be here. You want to thank everybody, family. Work so hard to get where you are. Blah. Yep, 3. Yeah, 3 sounds good. Like, what?
But yeah, and it was surprising because it wasn't 3 sounds good. I've talked with the Lions, or like, he's a confident kid too. It should have been like, well, of course, like I'm sad I'm going 3. I should be higher than that. Like, I'm the best player in this draft.
To be the man, you've got to beat the man.
Instead, it literally was, man, if I'm picked all the way up at number 3, that sounds good to me. And then he just, like I say, the cricket sound effect, which maybe I'll have to pump in later. Like, it was like, come on, Okuda, show some confidence, or say like, hey, I'd be excited to be picked by all those teams up top. I could really help him. And you really didn't get any of that. But like I said, he seems like a good kid. I won't be breaking my coffee table if they take him at 3. I won't be breaking, my TV if they take him at 6 or 7 or 5 at a trade down. But I think it'd be much more palatable if they could trade down, pick up that second rounder from either the Chargers or the Dolphins or whatever, and then still take this kid. I think he is the most impactful player from day one. You just put him and Trufant out there, and then you have AO as a backup, and you got Coleman in the slot. That basically, lets us roll, at a high level, I think, pretty much from day one, except for, rookie corners have their issues as well as, it's one of the toughest positions, right? With every other spot.
It's right up there with tight end and offensive guard and defensive tackle and middle linebacker.
Right, just run down the list. Every position is tough, and like you ramble on about tight end. Like, don't expect anything good until year 3. It's like, no, we need this kid to come in and be a ball player. Hey, Grifka, I got one other curveball. I know we got to get to these needs, and then we'll finish out the show. Grifka, I'm putting this out there now. This is our Wednesday show before the draft. next week. Grifka, I'm here to tell you that I think, like, we've went over it a bunch. The Detroit Koolaid Cast is all about Matt Stafford, from his physical ability to his good leadership of never embarrassing the city and always doing the right thing. But Grifka, I'm here to tell you there's something in my brain that still thinks the ultimate okie doke could be going on, because there has been so much praise, so much this is laughable. I've been in talks with Matthew, like he's ready to go, he's healthy. Grifka, would it absolutely shock you? Would you lose your mind if at number 3 the Lions sit right there and they turn that Skype pick or Zoom selection into Roger Goodell in his basement that says, with the number 3 pick, the Detroit Lions select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama? Because I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to be doing backflips, but I'm not going to be hating it either, because there's something to be said about the ultimate pull the wool over everybody's eyes, take the kid, trade Stafford to New England, whatever. They might have some crazy plan in the background that I think could ultimately make sense. I mean, if Tua's healthy and ready and he's a good leader, he makes pennies on the dollar to what Matt Stafford does. I mean, that could change our whole franchise. I mean, are you on board with this at all, or is this a Grifka? Nope.
If that was to happen, I would think Bob Quinn accidentally left the draft on auto draft. And that's best player available. And it's right there, too. It's Bob Quinn called in, and then he had to go do something else.
You don't. It's like you, the one time I had you actually join a fantasy league before you hated it. Grifka, you don't think this could happen at all? You don't think that there's not a slim chance the Lions could be saying yes, and then say, oh, never mind. Boom, there it is.
Like I said, there's always a possibility. But, with the massive, with your girl there, Martha, drawing the line in the sand, saying that you don't play meaningful games in December. Like I said, I think they're playing for the job, and I don't think they're going to give that to a rookie quarterback. It's just, rookie quarterbacks have done okay in their rookie seasons, but there's plenty more rookie quarterbacks that really struggle, and that would be the building for the future pick. And I don't think Matt Pat and Bob Quinn have that opportunity to do that this year after getting the massive ultimatum.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to say one quick thing. You've brought this up multiple times. I hear everybody else bring this up. I feel like, I don't know if it's because of people living their real lives or what it is, but everybody has this argument that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia are going to just do whatever it takes to win enough games to keep their jobs. Basically, anytime you're in a job, every day you're trying to do the best you can that day you're not trying to not do well. It's not like Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia have not been doing well for 3 years on purpose, other than maybe tanking the back half of this last year to, get a better draft pick. So my thing, if they took Tua, which again, I think is sort of a slim chance, but I'm also putting it out there because it's been so not addressed that I feel like, because it's a quarterback, because we're in the top 3, and because they might see the financial sense that it makes long term. If they take this guy, I think if he's healthy, you could roll him out and play him and still run the football and throw the type of routes they already throw without a huge issue, depending on what you get back from Matt Stafford. But I feel like it wouldn't be a play saying, oh man, this is going to put our jobs in jeopardy. I feel like that'd be the ultimate swing of we're doing the biggest, boldest thing to be here for another decade. You know what I mean? To win at a high level and to have this new leader of the team that would be a transcendent player both on and off the field that could maybe take us to the playoffs and beyond, to the ultimate prize, where maybe they think in their heads, Matt Stafford is great. He can make all the throws, but he doesn't have that dog in him. He doesn't have that thing that's going to get us over the hump. And we've been here too long. Somebody's been here too long. Maybe new scenery would do both parties well. That's my counter, is that everybody thinks they're going to guard their jobs, and I think they may pull the ultimate wool over everybody's eyes, take this kid and say, now watch what we build with him as the signal caller and all this extra money and all these extra assets that we can go do this thing with. instead of saying, oh, we took him, now we're going to get fired because he's not going to come out guns a-blazing from day one. I think it could be the complete opposite, to be honest. I really do. This is my outside-the-box thought, but I just want to put it on the show in case it happens and to tell people this isn't a lose-now selection. That taking Tua is the ultimate, middle finger to everybody saying, watch what we do now.
So you would be comfortable, you think this happens, it goes down. You would be okay with it, thinking that Tua would be able to get them meaningful football games in December. I mean, because once again, that was the ultimatum that, Lions fans, that Martha put out there. Just not even like, she didn't even say playoffs. She just said meaningful football games. So you think, like you said, playing for the future, they would feel more secure in their jobs, like meaningful football game there, as opposed to like if it turns out they got like a 5-win season, and then they're like, well, we had a rookie quarterback.
Oh, I don't know, but I'd say this: if Tua is what he was in college, and he's 80-90% healthy, and go out there and do everything you kind of need him to do from a physical standpoint, like, I don't see why he can't come out and you see all these other rookies come out, start from day one, have flashes, make plays. I mean, it's not like we have an empty football team around him. So I think there'd be a little drop off from the get-go because Stafford's been here. He's seen a lot, but I just think you could make it work. And I think it's the ultimate big swing. It's the ultimate okey doke. And it's the ultimate play of, hey, we're not just going to draft a corner or defensive lineman because it helps us tomorrow and it saves our jobs, quote unquote, because we think we'll have a better team. Like, what saves their jobs is taking Tua and watching Tua become the guy, like a top 5 NFL quarterback, a leader of men, and a guy that is there making pennies. And so you can put a football team around him at all levels. And I feel like our defense is, coming along. The offense is already good enough. You don't think Tua could come in there and probably do 75% of what we saw last year, and a lot better than Blau and Driscoll did when they were out there? Of course he could. And we were in football games with those two bums. I know they're your favorite players, your favorite backup quarterbacks, but
heck yeah, man, him, Sean Hill, all of them.
Oh, you love them.
Put them all in the same boat.
Like I said, let's not go any further with it. I just want to throw it out because it's still in the back of my head that because quarterback is so valued, because the Lions have been so staunch of, nope, he's here, we love this guy. Like, they've tricked everybody into, nobody talks about the Lions taking a quarterback. Nobody thinks they'll just sit there and pick. But they could do just that in less than, just over a week from now. Grifka, let's spend a couple minutes here. I'm going to give you the team needs in the order that I have them, and you can argue with them or you can give me kind of what you would address and how. So my remaining needs for the Detroit Lions are an edge pass rusher. I don't know, a guy like Chase Young, Grifka, would be nice. I also think our next need is a cornerback. We need somebody that can roll out there and play outside corner, and we don't have another one on the roster, even though I love AO. Oh, baby! Offensive tackle or interior offensive lineman. I feel like if we're going to protect our quarterback, whoever it may be, like, hey, Stafford, you're still my guy. Whoever's back there, I'd be a favorite, but you got to protect him. So I feel like our tackles could get better, and our interior line is still a little bit of a mess. We need a freaking running back. Haven't been able to run the ball since 1999. It'd be nice to change that. So if you want to take one in the second or the fourth through the fourth round, I would appreciate it so we can put this to bed. And I also have receiver here. I think you need a speed receiver, and you also need a receiver that can then replace Marvin and Danny. So either a real top ball player or a guy that can at least replace one of those two, and then you have another game plan. Those are my top 5 needs, and I also have 5 secondary needs. The secondary needs are in no particular order, really. Linebacker, safety, another edge, tight end, and again, this is last but not least, a quarterback.
How did punter not make your list? There's nobody punting the ball away unless we're just going to go for fourth down all the time.
Yeah. Punter's on there, but I didn't put it because then I'll start talking about Sam Martin and his gimmicks and his golf attire, is in sync. The guy's gone. So yeah, we'll get a punter. Hopefully, I'll like them more than that jabron. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just want to start off by saying at least we're set. We are definitely set at one position, and I don't think we're gonna have to worry about this position for a long time, and that would be long snapper. Tom Muleback, he'll be snapping in a wheelchair, whatever he needs to be. Nice to have you back again. But I just have to say I have to agree with you on your needs. Edge rusher, definitely edge rusher, and would probably be the number one. And number two,
Grifka, real quick, if Chase Young is on the board, you take him at 3.
If he's on the board at 3,
Okuda's there, Simmons is there, Chase Young is there. Grifka's the Detroit Lions GM here in 2020. What do you do?
Gosh, I still really like Simmons.
Oh my God, you're off the show for 2 weeks. That's a 2-week ban from the show. Everybody at home is sitting there going, "This is ridiculous."
I'm being quarantined from the show.
Oh my gosh! All right. Anyway, go with your needs now that you've just ruined your credibility.
Right. So edge, right there would be the number one.
But not Chase Young.
I would really like to know what they think about AO. Putting cornerback. I do believe they need another cornerback. I mean, obviously, if Okuda's there, I believe they're going to take him over Simmons simply because what they've signed at linebacker.
Grifka. This just in from Bob Quinn about AO.
Oh, baby!
So that means we don't have to worry about a cornerback at all, since
right.
So we can drop that off there. I would have to say probably more of an interior guard. Gosh, you know how much I love Taylor Decker, and they just spent money on Hal. So I think they would be looking more at a guard than opposed to like tackle.
Grifka, real quick, I hate to keep jetting in on you, but here's my thing. So you want a guard. I'm here to tell you right now, the Detroit Lions on their current roster have Joe Dahl, they have Joshua Garnett, they have Bo Benchwall, they have Kenny Wiggins, and they have Ode Abouche. Like, they already have 6 guys, and they only need like 3 on a game day roster. Like, what are they going to do with all these guys? Are they just paying Ode and Wiggins for a fun couple months until they get rid of them? Like, to me, they already have those guys. I know you hate Taylor Decker. The Detroit Lions seem to love Taylor Decker. I wouldn't be surprised if he's here for another 3 to 5 years on an extension. You just paid a right tackle $10 million. Like, even though it's on my needs list, like, they've already somewhat addressed it, even though we don't love how they have addressed it. Like, where are you going to put another body or two? I don't know.
But if one of those guys are there, like you said, you don't let the draft, play you play the draft. If it's one of those things where there's such a talent gap where that guard is sitting there over some other position that you may like or want, and the gap is there, would you not take the guard? I guess.
Well, you take it, but I'm saying you're still costing yourself money. Like, you've already paid these guys, you're bringing them back, so of course you can upgrade. But it's not the smartest move to go ahead and pay these veteran guys and then just go replace them in a month. I mean, you can do it, but it's still going to cost you.
Those veteran guys are all cheap. It's not like they sunk a whole bunch of money into those guys.
Grifka, have you not realized basically every cent matters in the NFL? There's no, we just gave Kenny Williams $1 million, no big deal. Yeah, that $1 million is a big deal, like, in the grand scheme of things. So I know what you're saying, and yes, you still want to cover your ass and then also draft whoever is best available, but it's not smart business to go ahead and cover yourself too much to have 6 guards on the roster and then cut 3 or 4 of them because, Cesar Ruiz was there and we want to take him and, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I put it on my list because I think it needs an upgrade. But
Cesar Ruiz sounds like an upgrade over all 6 of those guys that you named.
Of course. So that's what I'm saying. So if you think that's even an option, you don't go load up and then have to boot all those guys. You load up a spot or 2. Maybe you brought back Ode a couple months ago. You roll with that and see what happens. But they seem to not care at all about the position. And, same with running backs. Like, you spent all this time bloviating about, you love Simmons over Chase Young and stuff. Like, I love Simmons, but what am I going to add him to the other 11 linebackers on my roster? Like, what am I going to do with the other 11? Hey, 4 of you are cut because we decided to draft Simmons anyway.
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what you do with
that's
them.
not
I
smart
mean, you think they're going to
business.
be crying if they cut Elijah Lee? I mean, come on. It's just
No,
they
but they're
signed
gonna be
it's like,
pissed that they're paying Jamie Collins $10 million, and from day one, Simmons is better than him. I mean, that's not good business, is it? Oh, he's a $10 million backup. Okay.
so you're gonna like, well, he's better than this guy in the draft is gonna be better than the guy that we signed, but we just don't want to look stupid, so let's not take him. That just doesn't make any sense at all.
It does make sense. It makes dollars and cents.
That's you being an utterly bad GM is what it is. You're gonna,
here we go. Now you're telling me how to construct
and then,
the team.
You're gonna let some other guy sit there because the rookie may be better than the guy that you gave big money to. I mean, yeah, he may be better than Collins, or he may be better than Jared Davis, or Jelani Tavai, or Frankenstein Jones. I mean, yeah, it's just I could say he's better than 3 of those 4 guys, and yeah, I would take him for that reason. And it doesn't matter if you're paying those other guys. I realize you just re-signed Christian Jones for some reason for him to go stand out there and take up space, but he's better than Jared Davis, and he's better than Jelani Tavai.
My blood pressure's getting up, and I haven't even had too much salt. Like, the point is, you don't go out and sign all those guys to big money if you're going to then go draft a guy high or even in the second round. You leave a couple spots open, and then if you don't get that guy, you come in later and get some depth at linebacker. Is my point. It's not that I don't take a guy because he will be better than people like
money. I mean, you got
Jamie Collins makes $10 million. You spent a second-round pick on Jelani Tavai.
They signed Wiggins and Ibushi for like nothing. Bo Benchwall, if they cut him, who cares? He doesn't count anything against the cap. I mean, so what? Joe Dahl? I mean, Joe Dahl, he's like, so there's a little dead money there. It's not like they're bent over backwards with him. So what? You eat a little bit there if you're going to get something more. I mean, no, I don't think Bob Quinn's crying if they have to get rid of Kenny Wiggins or Ode Ibushi or Ben Boschwall or Joe Dahl. Who cares? Or Garrett, some guy who hasn't played in 2 years. So who gives a crap?
Then don't sign all of them.
Hold on to this guy because we
sign like 2 of them, not 6. Like, that's my point.
What are you talking about? They just signed Ibushi. They just signed Wiggins. They just signed Garrett. Those guys, I mean, and if a guard's sitting there in the second round or third round who's better than that scrap, of course you take him. And if you have to cut those guys, who gives a crap? I mean, those guys suck anyways. It's not like we talk about the running game. Those guys don't blow dog anyways. Who gives a crap? I mean, so what?
Grifka, there's something called a salary cap.
Take the cap hit. We can't take the $500,000 cap hit on Ibushi. Ooh, gosh, no, let's not do that. Come on, give me a break.
All right. Anyway, I somewhat agree with you that yeah, you can upgrade. My point is that they've overloaded, showing me that they do not care about interior offensive line and linebacker because of what they've already done.
They're not happy with what they have, and they're just seeing what they'll throw at the wall and it'll stick.
Okay, well that's not the best strategy
here. Those guys that they signed, really didn't put the fear of God in anybody. Okay, it's not like everyone's like, "Ooh, God, what a great signing, ooh, guys." It's just, come on, let's be honest here. They're just loading up the room to see who will stick. It doesn't mean that they won't be able to upgrade with that in the draft. I don't think they'll take Simmons simply because, like you said, they signed so many guys, but I could see a guard there. Okay, just because they signed a bunch of guards because all of them on the team that aren't that good, they're not that great. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Oh my goodness, this is a crazy day on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Grifka, what else you got on needs? You got anything else on what you like to see them attack based on what's out there?
Punter,
my primary
7th round. Punter, 7th round, right there.
Yep.
We need a punter.
I agree with you, except that person you named. I'm going with Mann, the kid. I forget even what school he's from, but Mann is my punter. MANN, 7th round.
He's the man.
Might take him in the 6th. I mean, anybody's the man other than Sam Martin, that piece of garbage. What else is on the top of your radar in those? So you got edge, you got corner. You want to get a lineman at all costs, no matter what. I mean, you'd love to add a linebacker, even though we got 15 on the roster. Give the people like one or two others, and then we'll get out of here.
Linebackers suck, but like you mentioned, running back, I like that as well. like you said, 2nd through 4th. I don't want to take another flyer on like a 5th, 6th. I realize those guys every once in a while they pan out, but they tend to not, work out as much as the earlier round guys.
All right, so man, everybody's a packed show. We talked about snacks. We got in some arguments. Griff had a horrible take about college football in the spring. I think it would be a nice experiment, see how it happens. Free agency is definitely going to impact what the Detroit Lions do in the draft, but also, like you say, you do have to draft the best players at positions of need at the best value spots. We'll see if Bob Quinn can get it done. I sure freaking hope so, because it's a chance to come and make a big impact this season. And then we address some of the needs that are still out there and went back and forth with that. Grifka, with all that being said, do you have anything else for the people?
Nope.
Everybody, please drink that Detroit Kool-Aid. Please check us back here on Friday. We know you're working from home. We know you're stuck in the house. There's nothing better than listen to Lions podcast. We got you covered twice a week here. You can also check out my Believe, BLEAV, and Lions podcast, which drops on Monday. There'll also be a bonus show this week where I did an NFC North roundtable. I stuck up for the Lions, and I beat up all the other people in the NFC North. So you check that out on my Believe podcast feed as well. That'll be coming out probably midweek. And definitely showed those guys what's up. Told them the Lions are going to be coming in 2020 for that NFC crown. So check that out. Everybody, take care. Drink it in. We'll be back on Friday right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag. Start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.